Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. It's great to be on this show once again. This is where we discuss all things books. Well, in the book world, let's just say a mighty oak tree has fallen. Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He died a few days back and he simply broke the hearts of millions of people around the world who over the years fell in love with his incredible talent. Well, one of the greatest writers in African history has passed on, and we will always remember him. It was said for many years that he was due for the Nobel Prize for Literature, but it just never went to him for some reasons that some people will argue controversial reasons. For years, he argued that we should be writing in indigenous African languages, not using English or French to write our own stories in Africa. And he jettisoned writing with it in English. That was in the 1960s or 70s, and he started to write in his own indigenous language in Kenya. And because of that, he sent a powerful message, not just across the continent, but around the world, on the power of telling stories in local languages. But he was certainly greater than that. He was just an incredible man whose name came up whenever you mention the greatest writers in African literature, like Chinua Achebe or Wole Soyinka and the likes of them. His name always popped up because he was indeed one of the greatest writers in African history. We will miss him. May his soul rest in perfect peace. There's a new brilliant writer in town, and her book is aptly titled The Debutante. Let's get to meet with her and enjoy this conversation. And trust me, you will start to look for her book after today. Enjoy this.
Caroline Adejube is a writer, portfolio investor, entrepreneur, and author. Caroline has a degree in creative arts from the University of Lagos. Her debut novel, Debutante, is a thought-provoking exploration of self-discovery in contemporary fiction. Caroline Adejube joins Channel's Book Club as our author of the week. Caroline, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Your debut novel titled The Debutante. I like that.
Yes.
Congrats. Really nice read. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I wish you would write a lot more.
I will, definitely.
Don't stop here, please.
Definitely.
But what's the story behind this? And please introduce it to viewers.
Okay, so this is The Debutante. It's a contemporary fiction novel, obviously, that explores the journey of self-discovery. So I'm a very introspective person, and I'm big on getting to know yourself, finding yourself, and getting to know why you're here as a human being. You know, you need to find your purpose and know what makes you unique, right? So I can start with the dedication because I feel it's often overlooked.
For those who live differently due to doubts and discouragements imposed by others, remember, each new day presents an opportunity to become the truest version of yourself. I hope you find the courage to live the life you truly desire.
Yes. So that is an important aspect of the book because it's an introduction to the message and the theme that drives the story. So I wanted it to be very relatable. I wanted readers to flip to that page and say, oh, this is speaking to me, or this is speaking to someone I know, right? Because I've come to realize that a certain demography of people are in a constant loop, and there's this constant battle between who everyone expects them to be and who they really want to be. Yeah, so they have passions, they have dreams that they are unable to pursue due to the fear of failure. Am I going to succeed at this? What if it doesn't work out? And then there's this need for external validation from people out there, right? So this serves as a reminder that every day is a fresh new start. Every day is an opportunity to rewrite your own story, and that it's totally okay to want something different as long as you find fulfillment in it.
Without letting, telling the entire story, and in line with what you just said now, the protagonist is a lady called Kay.
Yes, Kay Benson.
Who was into real estate or something like that. She was a
lawyer,
lawyer,
yes.
but in the real estate industry or something.
Yes.
But her real talent was her voice. She neglected that in the pursuit of everything you just said now.
Yes.
Making the living, validation,
expectations from parents,
etc., etc. But she never really was happy.
Yes.
Until she decided to tow her own path.
Yes.
Is that a good summary?
It is. Absolutely. Very concise. Very important.
And that sort of like illustrates what you were trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
The vision you had, which is to help people discover themselves.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is. For them to discover themselves, to inspire them to go after their dreams, and to encourage them that it's very okay to want something different. You don't have to do the conventional career path that we all grew up to know, or our parents would say you have to become this for you to be successful. Look around you today. There are a lot of people doing fantastic in different industries, right? And you just need one person to push you. I want readers to be inspired. They should be motivated with the story of Kay Benson, that it's totally okay to go after your dreams, and they're very, very achievable. As long as you set your mind to it, you are determined, you're focused, nothing is impossible.
But I mean, at times it's tricky straddling entertainment and inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, when you're trying to write a novel. Did you have that challenge? I think your novel does a successful job of both, actually.
Okay.
But did you have that challenge? You had a message, but you also wanted to write something entertaining. Or am I getting that wrong?
Oh, well, there was no challenge per se. I just found a balance, right? I wanted it to be gripping. I wanted people to be very interested. Like, you pick it up and you are getting the message of the story, the central idea surrounding the story, but it's still very entertaining. So it's not so mechanical. It just flows, right? So I think I was able to do that.
How did you, how much of yourself is in the central character, Kay? Lawyer, working in corporate Nigeria, but has this massive... I'll come back to that question, by the way, because I'm interested in that question. But let me quickly point out that, the fact that, I'm a reader, I'm reading, and right from the prologue, it was clear that Kay was a hugely talented lady.
Very.
Her voice is so powerful. And yet, she just didn't realize it that much. Or maybe she did, but she didn't have the courage to embrace it.
Exactly.
It's amazing how that is so common out there in the world.
Yes, it is. A lot of people have, I believe everyone has something, right? There's something that makes you coolly unique, and there's something that makes...
Really?
Yes, I'm sure you do.
I'm joking.
So I believe everyone has something. Like, people have gifts, they have talents. They have so much potential in them, but it remains untapped due to the lack of courage. They have a lot of brilliant ideas, but it remains untried due to the lack of courage. I can't do this. What if I do this and I don't succeed? There's that constant internal dialogue that is not even very healthy, right? So you have to find yourself. It's still part of getting to know yourself, and knowing your strengths. That's how you can now navigate from, I'm currently here, but I really want to be here. And how do I get here? That's how you can navigate.
This book will really help people along that line.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure of that. It really does well in amplifying that message. And then there were two characters that helped her to embrace who she was.
Yes.
Freya,
Yes.
the woman who said to her at the gym, met her at the gym,
Yeah.
and said to her when she walked out to the car or something, and said to her to stop living a lie or something related
Yes,
to that.
yes.
Stop living a lie. Be true to yourself, something like that. Then Mark, her friend,
Yes.
who,
producer.
yeah, the producer, who himself had been condemned by the entire world because he dared to be a producer,
Yeah.
you know, and he was struggling himself, but he had decided that was the life he wanted to live.
Yes.
And he spoke truth to his friend and
Okay.
said, look, yeah, be right. We all need those two guys.
Those two people, yes, we do.
Huh?
We do. We need people to make us see the light. We need people to paint the picture we are probably not seeing, right? And they have to just kind of be there in our lives to remind us that you have this gift. If you don't show the world, how would anyone know? So we need those two people. And I feel well, I have good friends, and I have, thank God for my family as well. My mom especially, and my dad, my parents in general, they always encourage us, myself and my siblings, to do what makes us happy. You know, whatever you're doing, find fulfillment in it. Be true to yourself. I feel like a lot of people out there need
That
even if
kind
it's just
of, yeah,
one person
to do
just
that.
push you.
Do that.
Yes, because it's not easy. Sometimes you get really discouraged and I'm really tired. Oh, I've been doing this for so long, or I don't even know I have this thing. One person just has to like discover you and say, you have this. Are you even aware of it? You know, and just spark that idea into you to go after it.
So how much of K are you?
You said you were going to come back to that question.
Yes,
and
I'm
you're
back
to
I'm
it.
back to the question now.
Well,
You are in a particular industry where
Yes.
you work as a professional, but writing is a completely different thing.
writing is my passion.
And writing is your passion.
Yes.
Singing or music was Kay's passion.
Okay, so that's how you connected the dots.
Yeah, that's how I connected the dots.
Okay, well, this is not my story. It's a part of my story.
It's part of your story.
But it's not entirely
Yeah,
my
but
story.
I'm keen. I'm sure viewers are keen to know your story. Do you relate to that story?
Absolutely, I do. It resonates with me, and I had my own personal encounter a couple of years ago, right? So I do this thing where I self-examine myself. I self-reflect a lot. You know, ask myself, where am I currently and where do I want to be? So that sparked and that brought about the idea for the book. And I've gone through my own experience and I'm getting to know myself better. And I feel like I need to pass across that message to other people, to readers out there, that you need to know yourself and then you need to know your strengths. So in a way, yes, part of me reflects in the book, but it's not entirely my story.
Apparently.
Yes.
So, at what point did you decide, I'm going to write? Writing is my passion. Time for me to write a book.
I've always been an avid reader. I had a good reading culture growing up, thanks to my parents, and they had like a very small library in the house. So I always pick up books. I always read. And when I got the idea for this book, it was just a very casual thing. Okay, let me just play around it. I always write. I always read. It's like a normal thing. So when the idea for the book came to me, I started to like put it down, pen things here and there, and I didn't even take it seriously. It was just one of those things. And a couple of my friends read part of the story, and they're like, this deserves to be out there. You can't just leave this inside, and you're good at it. Like, you write well. But other people need to see this story. They need to experience it. And so we began that journey, and then the rest, as you say, is history. Wait, here we are.
What was the most difficult thing for you? I mean, this is your debut novel.
Yes.
What was the most difficult thing for you writing this book?
A challenging part was I wanted to put in fragments of my story into the story. It's a fiction novel,
Yeah.
right? It's not autobiography or a biography
Okay,
whatsoever.
yeah.
So, but I also was struggling to, where do I drop the line? What part is too much and how much is too much? So I needed to just find a balance between that and focus on the message, not just me putting so much out that is so personal, but also putting myself in the story so that it's easy to resonate with. Yeah, so that was a bit challenging for me, but along the line, I was able to scale through.
So who is supposed to read this? I don't know why they don't put, in movies you have plus 13, plus 15, plus 18,
Okay.
etc., etc.
Demography will be, it's 18 and above.
18 and above.
18 and above.
I would have thought 15 actually.
No, so some scenes there, 18 and above.
That would be 18.
Yes.
Okay, I think I get what you mean.
Yes.
Right. Now, so, let's talk about, as we wrapping up, let's talk about you a bit more as a writer.
Okay.
What's coming up next for you?
That question. Well, I'm currently writing. No pressure. It's as it comes, and I'm pacing myself, obviously. This to me was my baby, right? This is my baby, right? And it also opened a part of me that maybe I knew I had, but I didn't even know how in-depthly it went, right? And writing for me, besides it being my own medium to express myself and to express my ideas, it's how I understand things better, because I realize that the more I write, the more elaborate an idea becomes in my head. It just tends to expand. So definitely there will be something else from me. There's no rush, but it's my lean into the thriller part. Yes, so let's just keep our fingers crossed for that one.
Okay, so we're not getting a case series.
Should there be a case series?
Possibly.
Funnily, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
Quite a lot of people.
Yeah, because a lot of writers these days, some of the greatest writers in the world these days, they produce series.
Yes.
They produce different books, but they stick to a central character.
Yes.
For some reasons.
It's possible. We might it just depends.
Whether it's James Patterson and Alex Cross, whether it's Lee Child and
John
Jack
Grisham,
Reacher, whether
yes.
it's John Grisham, so maybe it's something you want to think about.
We'll look into that.
Maybe.
We'll look into
but if you're
that.
doing a thriller, it can't be K. Right?
No, not K, not at all. This is a completely different story. Yes, but if we want to do a spin-off on K's story, well, it's possible, and then just expand on some of the characters or just elaborate on some other parts of the book.
Okay.
And see how that goes. Yeah, very possible.
Okay. Well, who inspires you as a writer?
Who inspires me as a writer? I inspire myself. But I read, and I will read.
Who do you read?
So I read Nigerian writers, obviously. I am a very big fan of Chinua Achebe, and obviously Chimamanda as well. And then we mentioned John Grisham, we mentioned Sidney Sheldon and the rest of them. So yes, I read.
So if you walked into a bookshop,
yeah,
which section would you walk to first, most likely?
Of course, fiction, but fiction, thriller.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the romance thing because I feel like there's a lot of attention on that already. So fiction, thriller, biographies.
Biographies.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just read from just a little bit the prologue.
Okay.
Or maybe parts of it, depending on what time we have. I'd like you to read from the prologue of your book, The Debutante.
Okay. Parts of it.
Maybe you can just explain the backdrop to it a little bit.
Okay, so this is the prologue. It goes, a bell rang, silencing the soft murmurs of the congregation. Over the reverent stillness, piano chords, accompanied by violin strings, and the gentle beat of kettle drums reverberated through speakers perched atop high pillars. Intricate carvings of sacred images and personages adorned the vast auditorium, filtering sunlight through stained glass windows. So this was a description of the church. I'll move, just not to overflog it. And then The hall fell silent as the organ played its opening notes. Kay's eyes skimmed the lines of the first verse in anticipation, and as the pianist cued her in, she began her recital. Her voice, filled with a surprising power beyond her years, wove through the space like a ribbon of gold. Each note held a prayer. Every line expressed her devotion. As the solemn music swelled and fell, Kay felt the collective gaze of hundreds, their admiration almost palpable. She found her mother beaming with pride among the sea of faces, with a radiant smile that lent wings to her confidence and carried her voice to new heights. Kay's lips curled in a quiet response, one she hoped her mother saw. Here she was, presenting her devotion at the largest service of the day, singing the responsorial psalm. When the final verse ended, her voice lingered in the air like a benediction, and she realized she had barely been breathing. Relieved that her recital was flawless, she bowed and returned to her seat as the congregation chanted Alleluia in preparation for the gospel reading. And as Kay slid into a pew, she heard a low voice behind her, filled with quiet awe. That voice could shake the world.
And it did shake the world.
And it did shake the world.
Wow. Well, I guess I will recommend this. You know, I was with a group of young secondary school students, all girls, and this book was with me.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So they were quite intrigued by the book and were asking, what's the book about? And how do you write a book, etc., etc. And we got talking about that. And, you know, at the end of the day, the message to them was, look, just do what you want to do in life and be the best at it.
That's it.
It really doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
You know, do what you want to do and be the best at it. And I think your book, in many ways, you know, says the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you for writing that, and thank you for sharing that message.
Thank you for that. And I'm happy I was able to put this out. Very happy. And then, of course, there's a playlist there that kind of goes along with the story. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
So it just kind of explores Kay's emotions, you know, at first, the discontent with her life, the monotony of doing what she didn't really enjoy, and then the challenges and the betrayals, and of course, finally, the success. So yes, it's just, there's a playlist there for everyone to enjoy.
Is this easy to find?
The book, yes.
Yeah.
So it's currently available in stores nationwide. You can find at Roving Heights bookstores and Spine and Label bookstores, MedPlus Pharmacy, and Out of Eden store in Banana Island.
Okay, easy to find.
Very easy to find.
Amazon and all that.
Amazon, yes,
there.
available on Amazon.
Great. I hope people will find this, and I hope they'll be inspired. I believe they will be inspired reading your book.
Very much so.
And for all those writers out there, they've got a keen competitor now. Because welcome, Caroline,
Thank
to the
you.
world of writing.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here.
I'm so happy. Thank you.
The Debutante is a book you should read. Really nice, really nice. And what a talented writer Caroline is, and I hope she'll write a lot more after that incredible debut. Well, this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. Send us messages via X, via Instagram. Share with us the books you're reading, your book event, whatever it is, just let us in. And if you have questions for us, we'll be very happy to respond to your questions. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.